Perfect. All right, all right, all right. Welcome everybody to Rolling Out Star Studio. It is your girl, Jackie Clark, and I am here in the building today with the talented Billboard chart topping singer, musician, songwriter, and producer, Josh X. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have a lot to unpack today, and I want to jump right in, but I want to start with you at the beginning. I know you've been in the music industry for a while, but I want to know, how did you get your start in music?
So music was something that was given to me as a child. My mother was a big fan of classical music. So she told me, pretty much having a mom from Haiti. I don't know if you know anything about Haitian parents, but it's their way or no way. So she
Yeah.
told me, this the piano, this your friend, get to know her. And if you don't play it, you know what's gonna happen to you. So I got up on that piano, 6 years old, was practicing. And classical music wasn't my favorite kind of genre because, when I used to play some nice pieces for ladies that I had crushes on in junior high school, I play them this banging Mozart that my mom told me would pick up the girls, and the girls would be like, "What is this?" And I was be like, "Uh-oh." You know what I mean? Mom, the girls don't like no classical music. So for me, I started sneaking off and learning R&B songs. And I already was a pianist and I already was learning in school for music. And I knew that I was going to music college. It was kind of just always told to me, like, this is what you're gonna go to school for. So I went into practicing like artists like Brian McKnight and Stevie Wonder, and that's when I fell in love with the genre of R&B. And I told my mom, I said, hey, if I go to college, graduate with a bachelor's in music education, I want to pursue not Carnegie Hall and play like classical music. I want to be on stage singing R&B songs because that's what my passion was. And she was like, boy, if you graduate, I don't care what you do. So I graduated and gave it a bachelor's and jumped right in. Started, going into studios and getting my name up and getting my buzz out. And that's how I started to get into the music business.
I love that. And I typically know the Caribbean parent. My dad's Jamaican, my mom's from, the family's from Barbados. So I totally understand it's their way or no way. And they don't care what you do, as long as you graduate from a post-secondary. You could be a bum if you wanted to. As long as you graduated, it's fine. So I know that well.
Yes. So you can relate.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain. Caribbean parents, for those who don't know, if you don't have Caribbean parents, African parents, Caribbean parents, is a whole ethnic parents, immigrants, they're a whole different beast. So I
It's
totally
a
get it.
whole nother movie.
Absolutely, absolutely. So speaking of, drawing inspiration from like classical, I love that. Funny enough, my dad used to play Mozart and we used to watch Amadeus, the movie. So, and I still
Yes.
love a good classical movie, or classical music in general. It's something soothing about it. So with that being said, where do you draw your inspiration from? And what is your creative process when writing and producing your music?
Well, classical music influenced me early on, and Mozart's music, in terms of the music Mozart created, I loved how romantic it was, and for me, it kind of gave me on my piano songs when I write songs like, Two Women or Fairy Tales or, even First Time that got me endorsed by Stevie Wonder. That record, I could say, the keys definitely was inspired by classical patterns and certain rhythms that you'll get from a classical composition. And then R&B wise, literally writing, Brian McKnight, that's my favorite writer, favorite singer, vocalist, musician. I learned so much from studying his songs. And, when I got a chance to meet him in person and play his song for him, and he endorsed me as well, I felt some type of complete of like a full circle. My favorite artist that I, used to run off and learn his songs in, the 10th grade and the 8th grade and all these things, singing songs like Anytime to my first crush. And, when I got to meet him, I told him these stories, and he's been my, I would say like my biggest inspiration in terms of writing. And it normally just comes to me when I'm going through something, like the process normally, if I'm writing on my piano, I think of the keys. And then, after I get the chords, then I'll start coming up with some melodies, and then the lyrics come last.
I like that. And I love that that classical influence is there. I think, a lot of people within our hip hop, R&B space or the music space, they don't understand there's so much things you can draw from classical music or music that's not necessarily on your radar. There's so many different things that you could pick up for inspiration. And I love that you talk about Brian McKnight. He's such an amazing artist. And for me, he reminds me of, that's when R&B, I don't want to say R&B wasn't great or isn't great, but like back then those guys, like they talked about love and they really talked about feelings, and R&B was like so deep rooted. That's how I feel about Mario, the R&B singer as well.
Yes,
He's
another
one
one
of
of my favorites.
he's my favorite, one of my favorites as well, like just deep rooted, can really really sing. So I love that you draw from that. I do want to ask you the side question because I've heard rumors, people keep talking about R&B is dead. What is your thoughts on that when they say R&B is dead?
So I don't believe that to ever be true when I hear those things, because some of the biggest songs today are R&B songs. And like Stevie Wonder told me, the hip hop artist now became the new R&B singer due to, like auto-tune, and rappers now doing melodies. It's just transitioned to different forms of traditional R&B. But but R&B is still very much so alive. We have artists like Money Long, who had a huge smash. Shout out to Money for holding down the genre, and many new faces that are coming out and really holding it down. And of course, the rappers that do their R&B thing, they know they R&B singers, but they really, they put them in a category of hip hop. But some rappers don't have songs without melody, and I'm not to name any, but the songs that are big rap songs, but they're really R&B songs because they're filled with melody and harmonizing and stuff that traditional hip hop wouldn't have done. So I just feel the genres just transitioned to a different form of style of music. And yeah, traditional R&B might not be as popular today because things change. As the times go on, the sound evolves. But I don't think the genre as a whole is gone. I think it's a very much needed genre. I think the world needs more R&B because we were at a place of needing love and positive vibes. A lot of the music out is about violence, and R&B is about cuddling up with your boo and feelings and crying over that girl you miss or that guy you miss and trying to get married. And I feel like those values that R&B comes with, those stories are very much needed. And I think in the next few years, we're going to see a complete transition of it being like the number one genre again, like it used to be.
I love the way you broke that down. Thank you so much for really taking a deep thought to that question, because I keep hearing R&B is dead, but referencing what Stevie Wonder had said to you was really amazing. I never looked at it that way, the melodies and things that they carry. So that was really interesting. So I know you've returning to your R&B roots, and I know you have a new release single called 190. Talk to me about that single. What was the inspiration behind that, and why the name 190? And I love the beat, by the way, too. Really
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. So 190 is pretty much what every song I like to put out. I like to have some type of vibes to it, where I'm kind of having a message in it. And for me, 190 is about, telling that girl you love them, and it's okay to want to settle down. I don't think that's popular in today's music. Most people are for the one night stand. And, a lot of people, I should say, are for it. The younger generation, people, the millennials, you'll say, they're in for that. Hi, meet you, get with you, leave you tomorrow, never talk to you. And I feel like 190 is a way of saying, nah, I wanted more. I wanted more. I try to make you more than a wifey. It's hard to find someone like me. And, when you find that person like you want to build a future, kind of like the Lori Harvey, Michael B. Jordan situation, not to bring it up, but whatever that reason was, it looks like one person might have wanted a longer relationship. And for me, I feel like I like that message, when you date someone, it should be more of being with someone, not just a one night stand, because you can't build love in one night. Love takes a lot of time and effort. And I'm just trying to make it relevant enough to have the kids' attention to make sure they understand what I'm saying, but also in the message saying that I wanted more than this, and why can't we have more than this if we fit good? And I feel like songs like that are very much needed. So we have more weddings and more marriages, and that's how R&B's always been. It's been about love, and
I really love that. I
love is
really
needed.
It's true because, as a, someone in their 30s, mid 30s now, it's like, it's true when you think of love, it's a lot of this quick fix and so many options. People aren't building like they used to. And I believe, like, in the 90s and when our parents were growing up, they had those love songs to kind of remind them and reinforce why we're here. So I definitely agree. We need to bring
Correct.
that back. That reinforcement needs to come back. And we need to see our role models, if you want to call it,
Correct.
and idols, showing like, hey, listen, yeah, I'm not about this culture of hookups. I'm a lover. So with that being said, are you a certified lover boy?
Certified lover boy. I'm
I've heard-
bagged up. I'm bagged up.
Okay,
Yeah.
shout out to
Shout
being
out to my baby too. My girl
yeah.
Kari, man. She's been with me, holding me down. And yeah, I'm a lover boy. Me and my situation. At first, it took time for me to get there. I had to graduate, but I have a woman in my life that adores me, and it's a beautiful thing. And I promote that, and I don't think anyone should be scared to say that. You have love and found love, because love is something so hard today. Like when you turn on the news or you turn on the TV, it's just about a lot of pain. So for me, finding love at my significant situation in this business on top of that was extremely hard. But yeah, I'm a certified lover boy. I'm in there.
I love that. I have to shout out Drake. I'm from Toronto. I'm in Toronto right now, so I gotta give
Ah,
wherever I go. But I love that. And see, I can respect and appreciate you sharing that, because again, within this industry, and something I want to touch on a little bit, I don't know how much it is of this is relevant now, but I know back in the day you kind of had to keep that single status to show relevance, because
correct,
especially as a male artist, right? Like,
correct.
you want to keep the women fans and they don't want to hear you're booed up. But is it changing now where you're seeing more artists, male or female, really showcasing their love, really talking about it? Do you see that change?
I think so. I think a lot of people in the beginning, my labels, of course, didn't want me to talk about any relationship. And that was corny to me. It always was, but no one was trying to get dropped. So I did what I had to do. But in today's world, I think with social media, everyone wants to show somehow, some way that, after a while, you can't just be like that single dude. You know what I mean? Like they have to accept. And I think as long as it's a balance, if someone asks me a question, I'm going to answer it truthfully. At this stage, I think the industry is there. Do we have to promote relationships? I don't think the industry is there completely, especially from a male artist point of view. You still got to kind of be that kind of swinger kind of vibe. But, I don't really think it's going to be something that if you promote it and talk about it, it's going to change the dynamics from your fans. I don't think fans really care that much anymore. I think the music is what they're really consuming through streaming. And as long as you're giving them music to stream and content to watch, I feel like it's not going to affect your career.
I love to hear that. And thank you for being transparent and sharing that as well, But yeah, I remember hearing, like, back in the day you had to keep your single status single, and you couldn't really talk about certain things. And you touched on social media. So I do want to ask, how do you feel social media has impacted the music industry? Is it easier for artists these days, harder for artists, or do you feel it's oversaturated?
It's definitely a balance of being hard, but easier to get your music out. So it's saturated because everyone wants to do music. It's the quick way to get money in people's mind. That's what social media has made. People like think it's so easy to get on, and then you get cars and diamonds and jewelry. And so that social media has hurt that, where you don't know who's real anymore until you really invest in that person to see that, okay, they're really an artist. This is not just like a lick for them, or they're like a hustle for them. So I think social media has blurred the lines with that. But in terms of getting your music out there, I think it's the best thing that happened for artists. that learn how to use the tools that are provided and learn how to use social media. It's one thing being on it, but then it's one thing learning how to actually use it effectively for your career. So you just got to know the platforms. Like you got to know what TikTok is. You got to know what Instagram is. You got to know what Facebook is. You got to know when to tweet. You got to know these things. Back in the days, you didn't have that. You had to literally go to the store and hope that your label will put the CD in the store. Now you could just be on social media and hit tens of thousands of people without ever being in the store. So yeah, I'm not against social media. I think more artists just need to learn how to control it and use it to the benefits.
And I love that you say that. I'm somebody, former publicist, so I deal with a lot of metrics. And when I talk with people, they're like, I just want to go viral. It's more than just going viral. You really have to understand your platform, understand the audience on that
Correct.
platform, what they're consuming from you, and then what do they need for you to have those viral moments or to keep
Correct.
consistency with your community. So thank you
Correct.
for sharing that. Doubling back a little bit to being of Caribbean descent, of African descent, Haitian, I want to ask you, how much of your Haitian culture do you infuse into your music?
Um, I would say the rhythm and the way I approach sometimes, like the way I pronounce my words. It's just being raised by immigrant parents, even though I was born in the States, I still was raised by a Haitian mom. And the way she spoke, even though she was here very young, she speaks with that accent. And sometimes it comes out in my music, like in my songs like Kembe Sa, which I just recently dropped. It's like a classic song from growing up and going to all the Haitian parties and seeing the parents dance. I just took some of that influence from the artist Alan Cave, who was a big superstar to my parents. He was like their Neo or their Usher. And I would listen to him, and those memories stick with you. And when I hear those Caribbean vibes, I'm not Jamaican, I'm Haitian, and I approach those Caribbean beats with that kind of Haitian vibe. What a Haitian person would feel and say on those songs. So I would say it definitely is in me. It's like the source in my music for sure.
I love that. And I love infusing culture. And I think, well, being of Caribbean descent myself, like I'm Canadian born. So my parents are Caribbean. The accent comes out every now and then and whatnot. But I feel like nowadays more people are absolving and observing and really taking in culture and wanting to
Yes.
understand. They're not just trying to do it for the sake of it's cool, it's in a song. They're really
Yes.
trying to understand the cultural aspects. So I love that. And you talked a little bit about some of the songs you've been working on. So I know you have a project, the X Project. Can you shed some light on what the X Project is and when we can expect that?
So it's a project of songs that I just been working on during this whole pandemic. I wanted to drop it, but I just keep creatively thinking of new things that are inspiring me. And with a balance of life, I think the X Project is just a real project of the experiences that I've been through so far and what I went through during this whole pandemic experience. And I'm looking to drop it sometime in the fall. But for me, again, we're such in a business where the attention span is so, quick. And I really want to just make sure that when it's dropped, that I have the proper amount of attention because I feel music is, I don't make music for the money. I make it for the passion of what I feel. And Stevie Wonder asked me to be somebody to help, people with my music if he was going to endorse me and give me his blessings as an artist that he made me promise him that I would be to inspire to help change the world to a better place. So the X Project is filled with songs that is going to, in my mind, be a therapy listening session for people that may be going through different types of situations in life. Like for me, example I'll share with you, my stepfather is fighting for his life with cancer. And I literally just got back from the hospital. And I want people to know, that just because you see me on the gram and, I drive like nice cars and I have all the things that may seem glamorous, none of that is important. Love and happiness and mental health and physical health is the most biggest blessings you can have. And with my music, I feel like I just want to teach people that. So the X Project combination of all of the things that I'm currently going through, but standing strong in my own right with my own faith and pushing out my music to help people fight some of their own battles. Because life, this thing we call life, is a very hard one. And it's filled with a lot of roller coasters that sometimes you go and you might not know how it's going to go. But I think through my music, not only is it helping me, but it's going to help people not give up. Because if I gave up, things could be a lot worse. So, that's what my project is about in a nutshell. It's just about real life situations, and incorporating stories in music with cool beats that can make you understand them. But every song I put out has a meaning in it. You just got to be willing to listen.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that insight, personal insight. And I'm sending love, light, and I declare a decree over your stepfather's life that the hands of the doctors, the hands of the nurses just touch him, and that they remember everything that they've been doing
Thank
to
you
give
so
him the
much.
best quality of life, and
Thank
that
you,
God is with him with that. So I
thank you
declare
so much.
his life, of course. And you talked about you talked about mental health and balance, and I wanted to ask you, with fame and celebrity and being busy and doing music, and having this responsibility of music, but then the responsibility of life, of my friend always says, we're on borrowed time. With the day you're born, you're on borrowed time. So how do you balance the music, your personal life obligations, and then your self-care?
That's a good question. With more than recently, I've been hit with more, so it's been harder. But mental health is something that I fight. I'm a big advocate for it. I feel like depression, anxiety is something and topics that I talk about a lot, and I feel like with someone that, even with keeping myself sane, is important. And how I do it is by working out. I'm a big advocate for weight loss. I'm down 125 pounds. I did that with just staying focused and eating healthy. And after my dad was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2017, after my team had a big hit with Cardi B, Bodak Yellow, I looked at life different, because here we were with a #1 song with the #1 artist in the world. And here I was fighting for my dad with his life with cancer. So what that made me realize, what is life with no health? If you have everything but no health, you have nothing. So how I stay focused is to make sure I maintain my health. And I do everything in my power with being creative, which has always been a therapy for me. This is my stepfather, but my biological father and my mom divorced that too. And not growing up with my dad did a lot of things mentally to me as a child that I had to overcome. And music was how I got through it. So I love to promote that. I've been a person that gone into schools and promoted that within kids that are coming from similar homes like myself, that came from a broken home and the parents' dad is missing and their behaviors were wrong. And I've taught music to those children, and I've learned that the help of that it does to them is big. So long-term goal is to open up a music school so I could fill it up with a bunch of kids that may be looking for an answer, because music was my answer. It kept me off the streets. It kept me away from doing bad things. I could have done so many things if I want. My mom was working 3 jobs until my stepfather came into my life. She was working 3 jobs and single parent, and I could have been out there, but that piano and them songs kept me focused and gave me my full scholarship, and is the reason why I'm a bachelor graduate, and everything came from music. So I feel like, to keep my mindset, I gotta stay with the music and I gotta stay with the gym. And those two things, and a great woman by my side, and great family support, and God, of course, I
Absolutely.
stay strong.
Thank you. This conversation is so wholesome. I love that you're just sharing yourself authentically, and I think that's so nice in a society where we see the Instagrams and everything is so curated. I really appreciate just the authentic, genuine conversation we've been able to have. And congratulations on the weight loss. I know that that's a struggle for me. The gym and I, we haven't made friends yet. I'm trying to make it that way, but
You'll get there. You'll get there.
thank you. I love that you talk about music has kept you out of trouble, and that you see that you could have gone in a different path, and you want to inspire others to see different options. Because when you're living in certain areas or you're living in certain situations, it's very hard to see possibility when you're living in a one tunneled world for so long. So I'm praying on that music school for you, that you're able to get that when it's the time's right to do that and inspire other children.
Thank
So
you.
I, of course, so I have, what advice would you give to young people that are looking to come up in the music industry? What things did you wish you knew that would have helped you, or what you would tell other kids now?
Well, I tell everyone, do your research. Don't be afraid to learn. People come into the business thinking you're going to learn on Instagram. You can learn a lot of things on Instagram. That information that we didn't have as kids growing up might have been useful to making decisions, but do your own research. Pick up a book, uh, ask a bunch of questions, and be passionate. The passion is what brings the money. I tell people, if you're going in something, always coming in with money first, you'll never get to it. You got to have the passion first and believe in yourself. Even when they tell you you're not good, you got to know you're good. Because if you don't know you're good, then how is someone else going to really believe it? So you just have to have a great support team. You got to be loyal. You got to be open-minded and be humble. My mom, something she taught me in life is no matter how much money I make or what level I get to, that I'm always going to be her son. And when she got to slap me up to tell me something, she going to slap me up. No matter if I'm at the Grammys, MTV Awards, BET Awards, if I'm hanging out with my friends, she don't care. And that little thing she's told me my whole life, I've applied it and it's worked. Stay humble. When you get to your first big check, don't treat people different. Treat people the same way, because that's how you got there. And if you want to stay there, remember how you got there. So it's a lot of those things that I say to kids that are trying to pursue this, maybe in high school, that are just young and they don't have any real big bros or any parents to really give them advice in this industry. But you got to do your research. Don't be afraid to go to school and then go into the industry, because that's exactly what I did. I made sure I did my 4 years of schooling, got prepared. I minored in music business. I knew everything from publishing to royalties to rights to contracts, and then I jumped into the game. So I was fully prepared for what was to come.
I love that. And like what I get from that is, guys, the music industry is not going anywhere. Yes, you are getting older, but with getting older comes wise behaviors and mentalities. And go to school, get that education, educate yourself, get familiar, and then you might see other facets of the music industry that you never saw before that may be more of interest to you. So lastly, before we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you, what is next for you, and then how can people connect with you on social media?
What was the first question?
What is next for you?
Okay. So right now I've been just building businesses outside of music. I have an entrepreneurship side of myself that, I be pushing myself so hard to create longevity for my family, because being one of the leaders in my family, I learned that generational wealth is important. And being from Caribbean background, where our parents were put in very messed up situations, and their parents and their parents and their parents, it's my job as a firstborn into the States to kind of take advantage of it. So with that being said, I've done that and I've created a bunch of businesses. So I have some music studios that I just opened up called The Wave, which I'm really excited about. And it's a whole center where you could come and get lessons and record. And I'm building that. And it's just, what's next for me is to just keep increasing my value of what I feel being comfortable means, and what my family means to be comfortable means to them, and to keep leaving a legacy behind of great things and great changes to the world. Because honestly, this is bigger than me. I'm at a position that, I'm not financially struggling for much. I've made great, smart decisions and that's why you got to go to school, so you learn how to make those decisions. But I really want to change as much as I can, to the world that we live in. I really do believe that I could help make it a better place. So what's next for me is to continue to jump into that journey, whether it's through music, whether it's through my foundations, whether it's through anything that I feel is needed. That's what I'll continue to do.
I love that. And how can people find you on social media or
You
YouTube?
can
How can they check out the music?
You can find me on Josh Xantus, which is JOSHXANTUS on Instagram, on Twitter, same name, on Facebook, same name, and my website is joshx.com.
Thank you so much for being here. This was a great conversation. So
Thank
many
you.
gems and life lessons learned. Thank
Thank
you so much. It's your girl, Jackie Clark, with her special guest, Josh K, and this is Rolling Out. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. All right.
Thank you so much for this conversation. This was